Welcome back to the Braxcast. This is our third episode, and this is basically just preparing for the onslaught of Yaira winter. You can see 2 days left as I film this on the 9th of March is when the Yaira campaign will launch. There's been a whole slew of art and hype on social media from the Rippaverse, on all the Rippaverse's social media channels, and this is just one of the pieces of artwork, the most recent one. Like I said, 2 days left. He had a bunch of these showing off a bunch of cool art of Yaira, and I think this one is especially cool because she's all powered up, and this is a first-person view from Isom getting dropped by Yaira, so I think that is a pretty badass one. But we're basically just talking about what we know of the Yaira campaign now, and of course this is functioning a lot like the Alpha Core 1 campaign did in terms of there being the Rippaverse members, which gives you exclusive campaigns, perks, early access to the pre-order queues is going to be half an hour before it launches, so say it launches at 9 a.m., the early access members get access at 8:30 a.m. I wish it was like a couple hours. So if it was like 9, you could get access onto 4 in the morning, so you could get your orders in before the workday starts. I think that would be the best thing, but half an hour is what it is. It's not definitely the worst thing in the world, but I definitely would prefer to have it a couple hours before, so that way I could get the order in before the workday starts and not have to like hop off to the bathroom of my job and put the order in because I'm working during normal business hours, as do a lot of people. But it's all good. Mobile phones exist and can do these orders from basically anywhere. So that's how I got Alpha Core's order in on my phone. It worked perfectly well, the queuing system. So you get that priority queuing. So as long as a lot of people are trying to get access to the IR1 campaign, which is probably going to be the case for the first week and a half or so, there will be a queue you'll have to access. A lot of way the servers don't freaking fry themselves out like they did on Isom 1 and Isom 2. And if you remember, you're going to get that priority access. And of course, priority shipping and fulfillment in the highest tier, $50. UPS will do free domestic shipping for you. That's how I do it. Works very well. And then you get the discount on all the merch items, which is a pretty nice one. So this is all the stuff that you get from from signing up for the Rippaverse members by Sunday, 5 p.m. Central. So if this stuff sounds good to you, you want to get in on this, you're listening to this before Sunday, 5 p.m. Central, you can get in on the Rippaverse membership and get access to all of those cool and interesting, well, not cool and interesting, but all those basically comfort of life perks that go around just getting your order in and getting it to you. So that's that there. And with the Yaira campaign, I guess you can bring her Dokumon card so you'll have something to look at. And we'll definitely be going in on Yaira as a character, but I want to talk about the campaign, talk about another thing. Eric was teasing toys and statues, so I want to go through that, get my thoughts on that. But we'll go over the campaign, and with her Dokumon card here, it's nice to mention that for sure we know the second set of Dokumon cards is going to be with the Yaira 1 campaign, and there's going to be 8 items, so it's going to be, in terms of the items and stuff available, it's going to be about the size of Ice 1's campaign, so this is going to be a pretty big release. There's probably going to be another Yaira poster, I would imagine, a lot of Yaira-centered merch, hoodies, shirts, those sorts of things, I would imagine, things in those realms being the case. But of course, we could get something really big that say there's stuff that's going to be a thing that nobody is expecting. And I think with that, I want to get into this tweet here. Now, of course, there's a little error here, so we're going to correct that. But this tweet basically reads, we're still doing research. I've said that before. I've been humbled. The more I learn about this, there's just little to no, had to cross out the N and the W, manufacturing infrastructure in North America, at least for the volume we demand. So this was a quote from Creative WM Personal. And basically Eric was talking about, what if we got into the toy and statue market? It's like, oh, you found a way to make them about China, because he's very adamant about making things, in America, as close to, I guess, in-house as possible, not having to ship and source things overseas. Have be that so, but of course, most of this is done in China or Cambodia or some other third world country where labor is cheap and all this, all these big companies have moved their manufacturing towards. So this is basically him, tweeting about them wanting to get into the toy market. So this is definitely something that, based on that one tweet, like when I first saw the tweet that Creative WM was replying to, I was thinking, oh, a Yaira 1 statue is going to launch with the Yaira 1 campaign. And I still think that's a possibility. It could be like a really limited small print run from a small sculpting company that is in the U.S. or held local to Texas, but still much more local than like some place in Shanghai or Zhejiang or wherever all the factories in China are. And it could be a 500 statue print run, just as like a way to really hype Yaira up as a campaign. That's definitely a possibility, and that's what I thought. And I still think that could be the case. And being able to manufacture consistently and at scale is what they're trying to figure out. So they don't want to commit to making like ISOM action figures, like they could be ISOM Yaira Alpha Core action figures. They could be getting into retail and on Amazon and all these sorts of places where you would usually sell action figures. And statues and all those sorts of things. This is sort of stuff that a lot of local comic book shops sell, and that's how they stay afloat, because they're not making money off comics, they're making money off of the merchandise and manga and all these sorts of things. And of course, they would want to make enough volume to be able to consistently supply those channels. And I don't think they're there yet in terms of finding an American manufacturer based off of this tweet that I have printed out and read out to you all. But is there the possibility that he was able to find a sculpting company that could make a 500 limited run sculpture of Yaira? Hell, it could be Yaira and ISOM fighting, to really hype up and commemorate this like really big campaign for the Rippaverse. I think that is a distinct possibility. But that's all my speculation on the toy making side of the Rippaverse. There's not much, but it's definitely something that he wants to do. He's looking into action figures are a big part of superhero comics and this kind of space that we find ourselves in nerd culture. Star Wars action figures, all the Funko Pop. So it's you got the Amiibo and all these sorts of things that are based around making statues and figurines and action figures, those sorts of things, is a very big staple in nerd culture, and I don't see Rippa not wanting to get into it. But I think what we should get into is this character, Yaira. Her campaign launches, like I said, March 11th is when we will finally get the doors blown open on the book just a little bit. Of course, we won't have it in our hands, but we'll be able to buy the book, so we'll see all the covers, we'll get a good synopsis of the story, and we'll find out a little bit more, and then we'll find out a lot more when her book drops or starts shipping to us sometime after the campaign. So it's going to be most likely a couple of weeks, so it might be the end of April, early May when we start getting her book shipped out to us. But while we're waiting for the chill of Yaira Winter, I figure let's go through everything we know about Yaira and just speculate wildly on what her first issue could possibly be about. So this is her Dokumon card. This is the back of it. And this is a bit hard to read. I'm not sure if you all can see this, but I will read this out to you. Her real name's unknown. She's gone as several names. Her height, she's 6'3", 215 pounds. So that's, she's got the height and weight of a well-built man. Don't know where she's born. She can't be from Earth, so she is 100% an alien. And Dokumon says her age is eluding me, but she does appear ancient. Perhaps more so than I have, saying that Dokumon might be this old figure, but Yaira is as old or even older than her, and she's got a knowledge base that exceeds those who appear very elderly. She's an archaeologist in the occupation, but she's recently been a consultant for Projexus. as that's how I know she's older than what she appears. She doesn't have any known allegiances, and she certainly isn't a hero. Every relationship seems short-lived and tactical. I've seen her kill small armies of men, and yet she doesn't quite seem evil. Either way, this woman is dangerous. So Yaira is definitely someone who has well, no, I'm not sure of a mission, but she has the means to get what she wants, and those means are vast. And of course, she's not even from Flores. She's not from Flores Park. She's not even from Earth. So she could be centuries old. She could be millennia old. But she is certainly an alien. So we'll go into what we see of her in Item 1. This is her first appearance. And the first thing that we get, this is Sergeant McDavies being informed that she's back. So you can see that there. It's a bit hard to see. It's a bit hard for my camera to focus, but this is the little bubble there says she's back, and of course that's being Yaira. And what we see of Yaira is somewhere you would not want to be. See the let's see. So she was being followed. So she was being followed by people, right? And Alpha Core gets called, and the cops are responding. So she was, I don't know, but it seems like she's here in workout clothes. And as soon as she's found out, she goes balls to the wall. And going out, she gets into this spat with the Alpha Core, and then she somehow manages to get away. This is Avery's scene with Darren, so we're going to skip over that. Not that it isn't interesting, it's just we want to get back to Yaira because we're speculating on Yaira. So, of course, we have this little fight with Isom and Yaira, which Yaira totally wins against Isom by throwing him into a taxi cab from basically skyscraper height. So it's quite interesting is the not the best. I'd say it's quite interesting, as in this is the setup for Yaira. We don't find out much about her. We just know that she has business in Forest Park. She did not want to be followed, and she has the means to deal with X-Ups. And now the interesting thing is she says that Avery is so strong, right? So she might not be as powerful as we think, but she certainly is quite powerful. So this is the Alpha Core scene in Isom 2. And this just basically goes over what their interaction with Yaira was in Isom 1. And of course with Isom as he got his ass handed to him by Yaira. And this is basically this little piece of Yaira that we get in her uniform. So they know what she looks like in uniform. She's definitely established as the identity of Yaira. She also has a lot of other aliases, and she started working as a consultant from Projexus, right? And the interesting thing, let's see if I will find it. It's very soon. Here we go. So this is her scene with Lincoln Eusebio. So he's the top CEO of Projexus, right? And he says, let's see if I can show this to you. Says, "What's going on, Sally? What brings you in so late? Left those schematics in the office. I wanted to look them over tonight." So she knows Lincoln Eusebio. So she got into the company. She was able to basically wriggle her way into the top of the org chart. So she's a very tactical sort of person. So she has the emotional, fortitude to engage in these relationships transactionally, and not only transactionally and tactically, but she has the means to basically get at the top of Projexus without anyone suspecting her of anything. And of course, she's coming in at night. She clearly has business. So this was after her spat with the Alpha Core and Isom. She goes into Projexus to do this. Although the confusing thing is that she's going back to Flores Park, but she seems to be known. Maybe she was working remote or doing something like that, so that way Lincoln Eusebio wasn't concerned that she was out for so long. It just seems confusing, and it could also be the fact that she's that Sally is somebody else, and Yaira just took the Sally out and impersonated her. That could also be another thing, but we'll see where this leads into. I do think this is a storyline that we're going to really dig into with with Yaira #1. We'll find out why she wanted to go to Projexus and what she needs those schematics for, and such. She says, let's see. Funny that she's mentioned it. Be seeing Burnley later tonight. The consultant role is working out. So I think, I don't know. It's really hard because we only got these 2 pages. We get very little information about here, but she's definitely in Projexus, right? But she wants to, I don't know, I think Lincoln Usivusia, such a hard name for me to say, wants her to be deeper in the company, but of course, I don't think she wants to be in Flores Park, or she wants to, be an office rat. So it's just hard for her to be able to do the job well enough where she's able to operate at that top tier and get the information she wants without her being so, I guess, respected and needed that they want her in the office all the time. So I guess that's really what they're getting at. We don't get too much information. Like I said, this is more or less what we'll get as answers in Yaira. So this is also a little bit of a look into what we're getting here. So it's really hard to see these, especially this page of art. A lot of people have been criticizing the way she's drawn here, that it doesn't look good, but I think it looks great. Of course, these assets are really small, so it's really hard to see the detail, but this looks like a prison environment. The Alpha Core come in, so she's got business here. So I think, there's a lot of moving parts of this. So I think what we saw with Yaira and Projexus as her consultant, as Sally, the Projexus consultant, is going to be more towards the end of Yaira 1. And Yaira 1, the storyline will start a little bit before ISOM #1, and it will flow into that, and then flow into ISOM 2, and it will end there. And then I think we'll get a little bit more of a pickup in ISOM 3, and then Yaira 2, and these storylines will sort of meld with each other in a very beautiful way. I imagine that will be the case, but I do think, I think her costume is just so cool looking. Looks cool on the Dokumon card, looks cool on her shirt, which I am currently wearing. I'm not showing that to you guys, but I'm not sure if you know, but the only time we see it in comic book form so far, of course, I imagine we're going to see it in Yaira 1, her in this uniform, her, I guess, costume is the better way to put it, is here. They have this here. Of course, if you look at ISOM #1, we go back. I'm going a bit quickly here. This is the clothing. This is the clothing that she's wearing. She's wearing workout clothing, and she just goes to Flores Park. So she had business there. She was being followed by people. Of course, she's always very much she's a well-known person. She had business with Solari, and Solari let her go for some reason. I think we'll find that out because we look at ISOM #2 again. I keep getting these books, but we look at ISOM #2, and clearly these 2 pages feature the Alpha Core. So you've got Brian Solari, you've got Yaira, Braxwell, and I believe that's Ingrid. It's really hard to see the detail in this panel, especially since it really doesn't want to focus. But we don't have much to go on with these interiors other than the fact that it takes place in a prison. She gets into a spat with the Alpha Core, and there's I'd say some decent reason for it. So it's a quite an interesting setup between like what's going to happen with Yaira and the Alpha Core. And I think Yaira is definitely going to be the Alpha Core's biggest challenge in terms of people to bring in because of how she operates. So she's not an explicit villain like Galvin or Billy Bob or Michael Copper or William Renashi clearly are, as in they're just bad people. They want to do bad things, and they're going to do it by any means necessary. And I guess Billy Bob and Galvin are more like the useful idiots in that situation, but they're just willing to do whatever the people signing their checks tell them to, and the people signing the checks, Michael Copper, Lowen Renashi, have very bad intentions indeed. So there really isn't that much to go on with Yaira, which is why I feel personally that a lot of people are excited for Yaira's campaign, to read her book, because she's this she's this enigma of a character. She's very cool and gripping in terms of her design, in terms of just the power set that she has, in terms of her introduction. But all we have is this introduction to her. We don't have this big meaty story that focuses around her. We don't have those 100 issues of Yaira that build this deep, rich canon like we do for other characters that people love. And I hope to see that canon unfold before our eyes, and Yaira 1's going to be the start of that. Of course, you've got the Saskas writing. They're also the lore masters of the Rippaverse, so I do think they see the intention, the ability for comics to be a long-form storytelling medium, and they've got every intention of executing on that. My review of Yaira will definitely get into if they achieve that or not after I read it, and I chew through the panels of that book, which I'm very excited to do. And also very excited to see the next big production of Rippaverse Studios. So I did talk about, I guess we'll bring her Dokuman card as where we end this. So we've got the Rippaverse Studios production, which I think a decent chance it's just the Yaira #1 trailer, and it's not going to be anything more than that. But like I said, in Braxcast #2, we could be getting a 10 to 15-minute short that goes all in on establishing the animated lore of the Rippaverse. That would be so cool. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case, but I think regardless, March 11th is going to be a great day to be a Rippaverse fan, because it's the start of the chill that is Yaira Winter. With that, I am signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to the Braxcast. Be sure to like, comment, follow, and subscribe to keep up with the Rippaverse.